Hello, everyone. Bon dia. Welcome to the third webinar of the Barcelona International Community Day. Remember that this day will be held this Saturday in person at the Maritime Museum of Barcelona. My name is Julia. I will thank you all on behalf of the City Council of Barcelona for being here today with us. I'm part of the city promotion team, and we organize events all year round to welcome talent to our city and help you make Barcelona your new home. Today, there will be a session, and at the end, we'll answer questions. So if you have any question, just put them on the chat and we'll attend to them. You can also connect to us on our social networks. I'll put the links on the chat as well. And if you miss anything, don't worry. We'll be uploading the recording as soon as it's available on our YouTube channel. So let's start. Today's webinar is on long distance working from Barcelona, the digital nomad. And it would be moderated by Els Location Services. Let me introduce you to Elaine Harry, one of the founders and managing partners of the company. Go ahead, Elaine, the floor is yours.
Elaine, you're on mute.
There we are. Can you hear me now? Great. Okay, thank you very much, Julia. Hello, everyone. I'm Elaine, and I'm one of the founders and managing partners of Eris Relocation Services. Eris started life in Barcelona in 2007, and we have teams in Barcelona, Madrid, and Malaga. Outside of Spain, we're also in Portugal, France, Italy, Netherlands, and Germany. We're providing services to companies who are moving their employees around the world, basically, and they need them to be up and running and efficient and happy as quickly as possible in their new location. And in Eris, we make this happen by assisting these employees and their families to find their homes, their schools for their children, and to ensure that they've got everything they need, driving licenses, internet, all of these practical considerations, so that they settle quickly and stresslessly wherever they're going. And of course, a very big important component of this scenario for any relocating person and family is the immigration piece. In fact, the first thing that any company thinks about usually when it needs to move an employee across an international border is what do we need to do for their visa, their work permit, their resident requirements, posted worker compliance, all of these very important regulations they need to comply with. Very often are the first thing they think about and I think they need most help with. In Eris, we've been providing these services to our clients for many years now, but as it happens, we're just about to launch a brand new company called Eris Legal, which will focus exclusively on providing this full set of immigration and posted worker services for our clients' employees in every country in Europe. So it's a very exciting moment for Eris. And we're delighted to have Sophie King with us today to talk to you about one very hot and trending immigration topic, of course, which is global nomad visas. Sophie is a celebrity within the world of global mobility because she set up her own immigration company and designed a platform called ImmiGuru in 2011, which enabled companies to understand what they needed to do in order to comply with immigration requirements for their employees anywhere in the world. This program and Sophie's company was actually acquired in 2015 by Newland Chase, and Sophie became their senior vice president for global immigration. And she was responsible for implementing their immigration services all around the world. Last year, Sophie sold her company and she left Newland Chase to set up her own company called Owl Immigration, where she works as where she's providing consultancy services. Her immigration knowledge and experience in managing high quality, consistent service in the immigration sector is unique. And in Eris, we're very proud that Sophie's been working with us to set up Eris Legal, and she will now be supervising the quality of the service in all of the countries in which we'll be operating. As well as knowing more than anyone else in the world about immigration requirements and how to deliver an outstanding immigration service, Sophie is also great fun to work with and to listen to. So enjoy listening to her. Take it away, Sophie.
Now I got to try and be great fun. Oh man. Okay, so I'm here speaking on behalf of my beloved Eris Relocation and Eris Legal, which, as Elaine said, is this super exciting new immigration company. And I'm also excited about this session today because I care a lot about entrepreneurs. I care about small companies. I had a small company myself, then I worked for a big one. Now I have my own small one again. And I got to tell you that I like small companies more. And I like people who work in small companies. And I love people who set up new things and do exciting, slightly crazy, mad things like move to Barcelona without any real reason other than they think it's an awesome place. I think that's cool. And I admire people who do that kind of thing. So I'm going to introduce our amazing panel. But I might do that in a minute, actually, because I also want to talk just for a few minutes about the immigration side of things. So immigration has a reputation for being quite a boring subject. It's not boring at all, actually. You know, people think of immigration, they think of paperwork and, you know, tax and boring forms and that type of thing. But immigration is about people who want to do something more. You know, it's about people who want to go from where they were born and where they were, you know, placed to somewhere different. And that's amazing. For whatever reason they do that, whether they're doing it because they have to run from something, or whether they're doing it because they're running to something. I think it's incredible when people, you know, uproot themselves and their families and move from one country to another. And we should never forget that. So I work in corporate immigration, which is the most boring of all of the immigrations because it's people getting work permits and moving with their employers. But it's still exciting and it's still interesting. And I think it's still amazing that people, you know, shift themselves from one place to another place without really looking back, you know. It is, however, also true that immigration legislation, generally speaking, takes quite a long time to change. It's quite slow to kind of get with the program. And much of immigration legislation around the world, especially when it comes to people who are working, so people who are wanting to be employed or employ themselves or that type of thing, is based on quite an old-fashioned view of the world of work. So quite often it's based on somebody receiving a job offer from a company, moving because they are sponsored by that company to go and take up a position in another country, and they bring their family with them. It's very interesting to see, for example, that many countries around the world still don't offer work rights to the spouse of the person who's moving. It's very old-fashioned. You know, you're supposed to have a wife basically who stays at home while you go out and be the, you know, the leader of engineering or whatever it is that you're doing. These things are changing. Generally speaking, they're changing because of lobbying from businesses and from organizations. So actually a quick shout out to the Permits Foundation. I don't know if any of you guys know them. They do a lot of work lobbying for dependent work permissions. So anyway, so to move quickly from, so when you think of immigration, it might sound boring. When you think of immigration legislation, it definitely can be a bit boring. And it certainly can be a bit stuck in its ways. But when you think of digital nomads and people, you know, throwing up their lives and rushing off to live in Barcelona, this is a completely new and exciting and dynamic thing. And the immigration rules need to catch up with it. So I thought I'd just give you a quick overview. So digital nomad visas are actually a thing in several countries in the world. So there are countries which, as a direct result of COVID, in some cases, have introduced specific immigration categories for people to live and work in those countries without having a traditional immigration sponsor or employing entity. So for example, the UAE, Dubai has a very successful remote working visa, which they've introduced and which has been really popular and has worked really well. Greece has just introduced one very recently. Estonia has one because obviously Estonia is very interested and keen on their position as digital kind of leaders. Croatia has a really good one. South Africa is bringing one in. South Africa actually has been bringing one in as a direct result of lobbying from businesses to the authorities in Cape Town, because Cape Town is such an attractive place for people to want to live and work. The many countries in the Caribbean have got digital nomad visas, mainly because of their huge loss of tourism revenue as a result of COVID. So they introduced long-term visas to allow people to live and stay. Not really, I think they weren't pushing the work angle so much, although work is permitted under those visas, but for people to go and live and work remotely while looking at the beautiful beaches and scenery of, you know, the Bahamas or the Dominican Republic or somewhere like that. So these visas are up and coming. They're what it reminds me of, as a person who's worked in immigration for 20 years, it reminds me of the golden visas that were a big source of kind of conversation and debate a few years ago, where, you know, citizenship by investment visas, basically, which came in a lot of places like Malta and Portugal and places like that. So yeah, so digital nomad visas are a thing. They will continue to be a thing. In our conversations preparing for this session that we're doing right now, I was talking to all of these beautiful panelists that you see before you, and Ziad made such a good point, which I don't want to like steal your thunder, Ziad, because it's a bit unfair. But you were saying, look, it's not just about people working remotely, you know, like wanting to be at home or wanting to be in another place. It's also about people morphing from being short-term business travelers to wanting to be a longer term remote worker. You know, why should I go back and forth? In my previous job as senior vice president in my old company, I used to travel. I was on a plane every month, every couple of weeks, you know, and I would go to DC and then I'd come back again, and then I'd go to New York and then I'd come back again. And why would you not, in this day and age where you can just pick up your iPad or your laptop, why would you not be based for a month from the US if that's where you're going to be anyway? Look, that makes and I'd never thought of it like that before, but that makes total sense, and it's exactly what people are going to want to do. So the question really, when it comes to this type of visa and this type of opportunity, is what is your country going to do? And by that I mean directly, what is Barcelona and what is Spain going to do about digital nomad visas? Because so far in Spain there is no specific category for people who fall into this kind of section of the population. You know, there is a special visa in Spain for basically startups, for entrepreneurs, but it's very difficult to receive approval for it. You have to have a full business plan, and you have to demonstrate how much money you're going to make, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that you have to do, that you have to meet minimum requirements, which is very difficult for a startup or an entrepreneur to receive, let alone somebody who wants to work in Barcelona but be employed by or connected to a company that's outside Barcelona. And this is a massive missed opportunity. So I think we should be thinking as a collective group of people, Barcelona is such a beautiful and amazing city that is attracting the best and most creative minds from all over the world. Is it maybe something that we should be talking about to try and encourage a visa that will allow that to happen? Especially, I would say, post-Brexit. I mean, maybe you don't want the British people. We're not very interesting, but none of us can come anymore, you know? So we've missed our deadline to come to Spain is gone. For me, if I wanted to come and live and work in Spain, I'd have to persuade Elaine to give me a job in Eris. Then maybe I could get a work permit. But other than that, I can't come. So really, when it comes to digital nomads, from an immigration point of view in Barcelona, for EU nationals, you're totally fine. If you're married to an EU national, also totally fine, as long as the person you're married to is economically active. So EU nationals, absolutely fine. There is paperwork and legislation that has to be done. Eris can help you with that. For non-EU nationals, it's a much, much harder story. So for non-EU nationals, I would say, you know, don't give up on it, and maybe give Eris a call, but you should be prepared that it will be a difficult and complicated scenario. So that's my main message today. And then I did want to make one other small comment about immigration, because it would be remiss of me not to mention that sometimes, even for the EU nationals who are traveling around the world, and from an immigration point of view, perhaps it's very easy for them, it's very important for anybody listening and watching to this session today either as an individual who's working for a company, or as an individual who has their own business, or as an employer of employees, you do need to understand that remote working, because the legislation, not just immigration legislation, but also tax and social security and employment legislation, hasn't necessarily caught up with the lifestyle of people who sling their laptop into their shoulder bag and hop on a plane. There are risks when it comes to your employees crossing borders. So you can open yourself up to tax problems. You also can open yourself up to social security issues if you're not very careful with all of that type of thing. So I would say that if you have, as an employer, if you have employees who are basing themselves from all sorts of surprising countries, it is worth calling a specialist to check what your risk areas are with those people. And it is worth having a policy to explain to your teams what is and what isn't allowed. You know what limits you want to put on how long they can stay or go in different countries. And as an individual, if you're doing that kind of thing, if you're traveling around the place, it is worth you knowing that you may be exposing not just yourself but your employer to certain risks. So you should, think about that and see if you can just check the rules before you cause any problems. Don't want to be a total downer, but it is worth knowing that kind of thing. So yeah, so that's my little lecture over. So I'm going to pass over. So before I pass over to Eva, I wanted to introduce everybody one by one because I might not get the chance later. So we've got Eva Camins from Barcelona Tourism, or Turisme de Barcelona, who is amazing and is going to make me really jealous that I don't live in Barcelona. It's going to talk about all the cool things there. And then we've got Gianfranco, who is from a totally ultimate co-living, co-working young people. He's got a baseball cap on. He makes me feel like an old woman. So he's going to talk about what his business is doing. And then Ziad, who has, I think, multiple different businesses and is really an entrepreneur in the most fundamental and awesome sense of the word. And I think he's calling in from Dubai, but spends his time hopping between Dubai, Barcelona, and a bunch of other places. So all three of them are going to talk. I'm going to stop talking, and over to you, Eva.
Thank you, Sophie. Thank you. It was a very interesting speech. Yeah, of course. So thank you for joining us today. And my name is Eva from Turismo de Barcelona, is the Barcelona Tourism Board. And I'm going to talk about our new strategic project that we start on March, and it's called Barcelona Location. But before, let me to take this opportunity to welcome to Barcelona to all of you who has recently been here in the city. And of course, people from outside that we want to encourage to come. So, Barcelona is beautiful, yes. So believe me. So I'm going to share my screen, okay? And my presentation. Okay. Okay, so let's start. So with COVID, we thought that we no longer needed to be in the office necessarily. My home desk was my office. So this opens up the opportunity to be able to move around. Workation is a trend, already around the world. The number of remote workers has tripled since last year. And in fact, 16% of remote workers will continue to work in this way after the pandemic. We made a survey of our contacts with already almost 300 results. We learned more about the trend of workation with this survey. And if you look at the data, you can see the 77% of the people surveyed want to change their place of residence temporarily. And 84% of the people surveyed consider it feasible to change their place of residence. So we see, I think so. So we see that there is a need and desire to go out and experiment. So to learn, to open your mind, to share knowledge, to make contacts, to see other ways of doing things, to see other ways of working, to know a new lifestyle. And of course, this can be useful for your work indeed. So here you have about our survey. The most important attributes when choosing a destination. Yes, of course, we had to learn more about this trend, and connectivity, health insurance, home prices, culture, yes, learning languages, outdoor activities, the weather, contact with another expats, sport activities. So furthermore, moreover, we had problems. So location is necessary for the sector. Take a look at this data from last year. Only 10% of hotel occupancy, and of course, we were no tourists. So we wanted to develop a new strategic segment. So we start on the product strategy, and we thought about, we want to invite you to move your desk to Barcelona. So the main aim of Barcelona Workation is to attract visitors who are able to work remotely and are looking for a new experience. In the current pandemic situation, this target public has been a growing trend over the past month. And in fact, more than a quarter of Barcelona's residents come from abroad, and people from 880 different nationalities live in the city. Here you have Barcelona that gives you the opportunity to work and live like a local. We have a slow life and city life. What's that? This is in the city or in the heart of the countryside, by the sea, or in the foothills of the Pyrenees. You know that you can ski in 2 hours from Barcelona. We have the Pyrenees very, very close, and then with a specially prepared accommodation and a great choice of special deals on culture and leisure activities. So you can fill in on your free time. You can enjoy the Mediterranean lifestyle, wonderful food, architecture, shops, culture, traditional festivals, nature, parks, green spaces, and of course 100 kilometers of coast. So you can explore it on foot, by bike, yes. But what can I say about Barcelona? What makes it different? Here you have some tips. Destination Barcelona has always been a magnet for artists, for visionaries, and it's a motivated destination, yes. So we think it's perfect. It's a perfect choice for spending time and yes, immersing yourself in the local culture of the city. Here you have our claim. This is the creative concept that we use for our campaign of this year. The claim is move your desk. So we want that you move your desk to Barcelona, change your life. But it's not only change your life, it's change, yes, your taste, change your gastronomy, change your, yes, your after work, and the hashtag work from Barcelona. Here you have 2 creative images that we use for the campaign and 2 videos. We have the urban version video and the rural version video. You can find them in our YouTube channels. So now I show you the video. Yes, so 1 moment. Okay. Here you have some of our creative arts. Oh, sorry. So Sorry. I think it's just with one video, you have enough. This is the other one. Okay, so here you have some of our banners that we have used for the campaign. And also here you have our website. This is the content that we have been working on seeing the needs of our digital nomads. A new section on the Visit Barcelona.com website with a very interesting information. Here you have 7 sections. Where you can find an accommodation finder that you have here on the left side you can find 133 kinds of accommodations, apartments to live at your own pace or in a rural setting in the heart of the countryside or campsite bungalow by the sea. Yeah, so here you have accommodation finder and you can make the reservation. If you need more information, we have a call center to give you this information and to make the reservation. In fact, they are prepared for nomads and with very special prices for long stays. And it's very easy. Then here on your right, yes, on your right side, you have information, well, about insurance companies that offers all kinds of medical services. Travel insurance, as well as information to make your antigen or PCR testing. We offer also the Barcelona Location Car that I will explain you after, with great deals for your free time. And then we also give you advice about completing the necessary paperwork, so formalities to work here, such as obtaining ED documents, visas, work permits, and the health card. Of course, if you are looking for workspace, currently Barcelona is the European city with the largest number of co-working spaces per square meter. So with more than 300 co-working spaces. And here you have some, the list and some characteristics. And of course, you can find sustainable, eco-friendly mobility, bike rent bikes and metro and all the transport. And what about our Barcelona Location Car? This is a product that we create for you. It's a city car, but that you can use it for 6 months. And you have more than 26 museums and places of interest that they are free for you. And then we have more museums and leisure attractions, entertainments with discounts, like the bus touristic or the leisure transport, yes, the funicular, the cable car. And then we have, of course, 5 sports clubs, tennis, paddles, hockey fields, indoor and outdoor swimming pools, spas, and shopping, EVAP pass for La Roca Village outlet. So you can get this Barcelona Car Workation in our email here, workation@barcelonaturisma.com, at our website, and it costs 35 euros. And you can use it during 6 months. So it's a very good idea to fill in your free time, yes, in Barcelona. And to finish, I want to show you another video, but is of our YouTube videos channel, but the protagonists are our Barcelona nomads. Okay, so thank you so much for your attention. I don't know what about the time because I speak very, very, very fast.
You did well, Eva.
Yes, okay. Oh. So the most important things is to use our tool. This is our website, this accommodation finder, all the information that you need. And of course, Barcelona Turisma is for you, is your attention. And if you need more information, don't hesitate to ask me in my email. Here you have in the screen, okay? So I want to show you this video to finish. This is another one. Okay, so let's go. Thank you.
¿Remas para cambiar? Cambias. Es mejor la remada profunda y grande que no muchas remadas. Antes he vivido en París y, por ejemplo, antes de ir al trabajo tenía 1 hora de metro. ahora tengo una hora de pádel que no tiene nada que ver, ¿no? Para mí es importante de tener un equilibrio entre vida profesional y vida personal. Trabajo para un laboratorio farmacéutico francés. Mi jefa es en Colombia, somos un equipo muy internacional. Hay un chico que está en Singapur y una otra chica que es en Brasil. Después de París quería algo más pequeño, pero que sea grande ciudad, con cosas de cultural y cerca del mar.
Que ells també venen a interactuar i a realment viure a la ciutat, no de passada. I quan venen de passada, si són nòmades digitals, venen a integrar-se durant un mes, perquè estan treballant.
Para mí es una ciudad muy bonita, muy hermosa, que para mí es algo también importante y que se puede caminar, hacer todo a pie o en bicicleta.
Okay.
Thanks, Eva.
Thank you
was
so much.
Beautiful. It makes me want to live in Barcelona, obviously. Also, I love what she said, that it's, you know, it's a city, but it's still small. That's what I always think. It's a proper city with proper stuff, you know, like culture and food and music and art and everything. But you can actually travel around it without having to spend an hour on the tube, for example. Eva, can you put the link to the card? Somebody just asked for it in the chat. Noah just asked for it in the chat. Can you put the link to get it in the
Yes, of course.
Thank you. So if anybody has any questions for Eva, then stick them in the chat and we'll try and answer them if we have time. So next, Gianfranco, you are up. Tell us about all of your cool stuff that you're doing.
Thank you, Sophie. Thank you, Eva, also for a great presentation. I'm also going to share my screen. Second here. I'm sharing now. All right. Well, so my name is Gianfranco. I'm originally from Peru. I have been living here in Barcelona for over 13 years. Around 7 years ago, I co-founded Suite Accommodations, where we host and welcome travelers from around the world coming to Barcelona and also to Seville, actually. And this year, due to the pandemic as well, we started Co-Impact Co-Living, which is a spin-off from Suite Accommodations. And what we're trying to do is create the ideal space for digital nomads, remote workers, and international students coming to Barcelona. I would love to connect with all of you, so you can find me on LinkedIn. If you have any specific questions or anything, you can find me by my name. I'm here to speak to you from my experience at Co-Impact Co-Living. As I said, we want to be the ideal co-living in Barcelona for this new trend, or these new people that are joining our city. I want to briefly highlight to you all who are the digital nomads currently coming to Barcelona, according to our experience and to our data, and what are their main concerns and needs from what we get from chatting with them on a day-to-day basis. At Co-Impact Co-Living, we define our value proposition in 3 words. First is co-living space. We provide the ideal living and working space in a great location, which is the amazing neighborhood of Eixample. It's fully furnished, fully equipped, and with all the services so that our guests don't have to worry about anything. We also provide community. When we move to another country, be it temporarily or permanently, we need to find a new community to be a part of, such as this great Barcelona International Community. Our core living space is run by a team of people from 5 different countries. So we know what it feels like to be new in a country. And we try to welcome everybody into our small community and make them feel at home. That's one of our core values. And also connections. Digital nomads and remote workers alike want to connect with other professionals and like-minded people. We do our best to make these connections happen, be it in our space or out in the city. So who are the digital nomads and remote workers who are currently coming to Barcelona? From January 2021, when we started hosting in Co-Impact Co-Living, to October of this year, these are the top 10 nationalities that we have received, excluding Spain, at our co-living. the last 4 countries have just started to welcome recently due to restrictions before. They were not coming as much, but recently we started welcoming a lot of people from the UK, from Argentina, from the US, and also from Brazil. This pie chart is a rough estimate of the segmentation by type of guests. Travelers is about 10%. At our co-living, we still receive just short-term travelers, even though we're not catering exactly to them, but sometimes they prefer a co-living rather than other types of accommodations. Also, we have about 20% of students. These are people coming to Barcelona mostly to study their bachelor's and their master's degrees. And the top nationalities for students that we have been receiving are from other cities in Spain, from France, Italy, and recently also Argentina and Brazil. We also have remote workers, about 35% of them. These are people who are still working as employees for their organizations, but are able to work remotely and come to Barcelona mostly because of the great weather and the lifestyle. The top nationalities for remote workers we have received are Germany, Netherlands, Denmark, and Sweden. And then the digital nomads, it's a total of 35%, but I've separated them. These are nomads that mostly lately are tech entrepreneurs, a lot of online teachers as well, programmers, freelance writers, and creatives. And I've segmented them into like established digital nomads would be like people that tell us that they were living this lifestyle pre-COVID. And then a 10%, which is a smaller percent of new digital nomads, people that have decided to take on this new lifestyle recently. I believe that we're still to experience an increase of these types of travelers. From these 7 years of experience in Barcelona, receiving different types of travelers and tourists, it is clearly a growing trend. And I think there's still a lot more to grow, mostly because there are more organizations allowing for remote working. And also because there are more and more people wanting to become digital nomads, or at least to try out the lifestyle. Some people are trying it out while they're on this transition phase. And then they decided they like it or not. But there's a lot of people that are trying this out. And Barcelona, as Eva has shown, is a great city to try this lifestyle. What are their main concerns before arriving? These are the questions that we get from people on their emails, on the forms that they fill on our website, asking us what their main questions before arriving to Barcelona. I want to showcase them just in case you're trying to cater to digital nomads and to remote workers. I think it's good to focus on these things. They like to know what are the other types of guests that are staying at the co-living. They want to know if they're tourists, or if they're also remote workers, what type of jobs they do, because they're very interested in community. They also, of course, due to the current context, care a lot about the cancellation policy and the refund policy, and that's completely understandable. They really want to know what are the characteristics of the workspace that we provide in Co-Impact Co-Living. And also they want to know around, about other workspaces or co-working spaces nearby. They like to stay flexible. So they ask a lot about the flexibility during the length of stay. If they can cancel ahead of time, if they change their plans, or if they can extend their stay. There's a lot of flexibility involved in this type of lifestyle. They also care a lot about the location of the space, of course, because they want it to be well communicated, good transport, and also what's around it: restaurants, bars, sports clubs, or gyms. That's very, very important for these new guests that we're receiving. And one of the main concerns, and something that has been talked about, is the legal aspects. And specifically for us, they ask us a lot about if they can empadronarse, if they can I don't know how to say it in English, sorry, but if they can like sign up for the city council.
We call it town hall registration, we usually call it.
Yeah, if they can register that residence as their legal residence in Spain. That's something very important for people that are coming to stay here for mid or long term. And also they like to know about the characteristics of the common areas. How is our kitchen, how's our living room, the space, if we organize events in the space, for example, which we do, but only for our inside community. We organize, for example, dinners, or sometimes we show little documentaries, or we just sit down and talk about what we do and learn from each other. So they like to know what are the dynamics in these common areas. If you're thinking of catering to digital nomads, I think you should definitely focus on some basic things that you should have in mind, depending on your type of business or what type of service or product you wanna offer them. I think you should definitely have in mind that digital nomads and remote workers love their flexibility. So we have to be very flexible when we're dealing with this new type of guest. For us, it's a guest. So flexibility is key. They want to surround themselves with like-minded community. So community is a big part of being a digital nomad. For people like me, or like some of us that are here living in a different country for a short period of time or permanently, in the beginning can be hard when you don't know anybody. So helping them to connect with a like-minded community is extremely helpful and valuable for digital nomads. Also, the ones staying for long term really need legal guidance, and I think here there's a big opportunity in terms of information, consultancy, or just like even going with people, because sometimes, unfortunately, I think in Barcelona there's still a gap in between the language barrier in some of the government offices where we have to do paperwork. So here is an opportunity of something that we need to work on, and I say it as a destination and as businesses and entrepreneurs that work in Barcelona. And also they tend to be very open-minded and love trying different things. So that's a good thing. And they really appreciate transparency and people that are straightforward dealing with them. Maybe this is different depending on their culture and where they come from, but I feel that sometimes they are a bit surprised by how things happen here in Barcelona or in Spain in general, and they would like things to go a bit faster or a bit more straightforward, and not so like coming back and forth between places or between offices, going to one place and you're told one thing, you go to another place, you're told another thing. And this is really frustrating, especially when you're new in a space or in a city, when you don't understand the language 100%, and when you're dealing with legal or accounting issues. This is really frustrating. So if you're thinking of working for digital nomads with services and products, I think being transparent, being straightforward is something that they really value. I think we all value it, but I've really felt this cultural clash with the guests that we receive at our co-living and how they perceive things that happen here in Barcelona. So yeah, that's my presentation. I hope I've given you a little bit of light about who's coming to Barcelona currently, what are their needs, and if you have any questions as to what our experience is like, I'll be very happy to.
Thank you so much. You know, also, do you know what I love about your presentation, Jan, and also about what you're doing, is I think it's kind of amazing for people to create their own community, which is basically what you're doing. So instead of people being in the community where they were in, you know, like the community of the company that they work in, or like the village that they grew up in, or whatever, they're coming to Barcelona and they are creating their own community and essentially their own office, you know, their own company where they're all working for different people, but they're there. And one of the things you said to me when we were talking this week about how you try and help, or your organization tries to help people connect within their sectors, you know, so if someone's interested in telecoms, then you'll try and hook them up or introduce them I think that's amazing. I think that's really amazing. You know, the amount of networking that people can do across different organizations. And I also think it's like a huge advantage and benefit for employers. You know, if I, as an employer, had somebody working for me who was in a co-working, co-living space in Barcelona and could therefore spread the word about the services that I offer as a service company to all of the people they're working with, I mean, that's brilliant. Why would you not want that? So as an employer, I think it's quite a revolutionary and interesting thing to let your employees be part of such a community, as long as you're not breaking all the laws and the rules. So I should plug ERES again, actually, because yeah, the paperwork side of things. And you're right with the town hall, the empadronamiento, which I can't pronounce. It can be really hard, and the language can be a barrier. So it is worth getting someone to help you. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking because we're running out of time. And Ziad, you were saying so many interesting things about networking and remote working and working, you know, how you've met interesting people. So tell us what you do and how it all fits.
Thank you, Sophie. First, actually, I want to link something that you said and have a shout out to my wife Elsa. She's on the attendee list, and it's her birthday today. So first of all, happy birthday, Elsa. But what Elsa did back in 2010 is she realized exactly what you said. A lot of people move to Dubai because the husband or one of the couple gets a job here. And then the spouse relocates, and that person relocates without a job. Most likely they were working before. They're fully capable. They were not fired or downsized or anything. Typically, we are young couples when we move here. It's a very young city, and then, you know, maternity plans happen, which is the perfect timing. But then again, a couple of years later, 4 years later, you know, these wonderful ladies are sitting without a job. So Elsa started at the time a startup called Pro Moms, finding jobs for moms. Obviously, it was premature for us. She was a young mom at the time, and she couldn't, you know, continue with it. But it was prescient, you know, in terms of a need that still exists today. On that note, I'm joining you now from the past, literally Dubai. Right now, I'm in Dubai, and it feels like October 2019. It's not like we have anything else. There's only the mask to remind us that there is something strange in the world. The city is buzzing. We have a big tech conference happening this week. We have a 6-month World Expo happening, which Barcelona hosted also before, I believe in the 80s. So it's a great sign about things to come, that, you know, we're somehow, you know, getting back to how it used to be before. But Dubai also was very quick in adapting to the early days of the pandemic. One of the first things we saw, actually, we have a huge hotel room capacity. We have around 130,000 hotel rooms in Dubai. So many of the hotels said, okay, you know what, you need an office to work from, come rent a room for the day. It's very cheap, you can work from it and you can connect. And then a few months later, you know, Dubai announced the digital nomad visa. And I tweeted about it that, okay, now we have the largest co-working space in the world just opened up. It's a whole city. So anybody can come and work from here. It's very well equipped, it's very high standard of infrastructure, etc. So, and as you said, you know, other cities are following suit right now, or other countries. But let me tell you about our story, because yes, I am in Dubai right now, but I actually live in Barcelona. And that was based on a decision as well. You know, we did our own internal analysis, and we had 7 cities actually as candidates. So Sydney, Dubai, Beirut, Cyprus, somewhere there, at least Silicon Valley, San Diego, and then of course Barcelona. And Barcelona won our decision back in 2019, based on a long-term plan, based on you know, the facts that we said about the city. In fact, what I love about it, my brother said to me this when he visited the first time. He said, Barcelona is a city that restores faith in humanity. It's a very human city. You know, it has planning, it has discipline, but it also has a soul. It has a feeling to it. It has culture. It has nature. It has everything. So that's why Barcelona won, and we actually invested in a golden visa at the time, because there was no other clear option. And we said, you know what, we will move one day. Maybe in 10 years, maybe if the kids finish school, it will be easier. So we'll do that then. And I had continued, you know, working from Dubai. I was moving from the corporate world into a more independent entrepreneurial project, and it was very, very simple to do that. until, of course, the lockdowns happened. And that's when we sat down and said, you know what? Nobody really knows where we are right now. We're connected all day long through the screen, and nobody cares where we are anymore. So in July 2020, we literally said, let's move. And we moved to Barcelona. We accelerated that whole plan. And frankly, it was also a great experience because Barcelona had adapted very well and to the situation. They had managed it very well. So I'm always very happy to say that in that year plus that we've been now, we haven't had a full lockdown. Kids were able to go to school on a daily basis. We didn't have to do distance learning, etc. So it was very, very well managed. And during that period, something interesting happened. One of my businesses is an advisory network, and we work on telecom related project, telecom and technology. And we had a project that started in February 2020. So literally a few weeks before the things started to go down with the COVID situation. And that project, we worked on it for 10 months. So from Feb to December 2020, we had people, mostly individuals, connecting and working from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Jordan, Austria, Barcelona, somewhere in Portugal, France, San Diego, California, and in Toronto. So we had this team across 9 different cities. We worked practically around the clock because we were doing a follow the sun approach. And we delivered that project very successfully in 10 months. Not a single person had to travel or to meet anyone else during that period. And 2 months later, actually, so within the span of 1 year, we got an award from the government for that project. So that was an amazing experience. A similar project, very, very similar project, took place in September to November 2019, and we had to do 10 flights for that project and spend 2 weeks huddled in a meeting room just to deliver the last part of it. So it was, life-changing in terms of, oh, wow, we can actually work and deliver things like this. So from that, you start thinking, okay, then what is coming next? In the corporate life, I used to work from offices. I spent 22 years in 2 big companies. I always had my closed office. I valued that a lot. I need my privacy. I make my calls. I receive people. We have a coffee, and then in 2018, when I moved into the independent world, I was like, okay, I still do have an office, but it's obviously not as big. It's in one of my startups, but then I'm traveling a lot. So now I had to adapt already to my office. Now is the lobby in the hotel where I'm staying. It's the lounge in the airport where I'm traveling for. It's seat 27G in Emirates Airlines because that was always my seat. So that's my office now. And then I learned that, okay, I do things at any point of time because I optimize and I don't need to wait actually to sit somewhere to figure it out or to finalize something that I'm working out on. But that, became, very nomadic now. So right now I work from one of the coolest co-working spaces in Barcelona. It's called Cloudworks. Big shout out to them as well. I have a desk in an open space with 20, 30 people that I don't actually work with at all. Except for one person that joined us part-time. Shout out to Santiago, he's also online, and at this, it created something very interesting for us. It became a family. So usually you have your family at home, you have your second family in your job, and I do have that, but they're all over the world now. But now I have third family, which is a group of coworkers that happen to just sit and work in the same space that I am. And during the whole winter 2021, the second wave and the third wave of the pandemic, we felt like a family. We were safe. We were having our coffees. We were having our lunches together. And frankly, it was like a bubble at school. And we were all, managing that respectfully among each other. But at the same time, it was a support system. It was, okay, I need advice. As you mentioned, we needed we're doing some work, and there's a gentleman who's a data scientist. He helped us with this. There's a wonderful lady who works in a startup that does testing for apps and websites. They helped us with something. But the funniest bit is, I said, in February, we got an award. And, I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do now? So I hopped down to the supermarket, bought 2 bottles of cava, came to the office and said, everybody, we're celebrating. I can't tell you what because you won't understand it, but we're celebrating anyway. So we had a little, after hours party at the office, happy hour party. So that's kind of how it is, I think, changing and evolving from that aspect. And that's why I say always, it's not, it's not a new normal anymore. I call it the business unusual. It's not business as usual, it's business unusual. We have to find, this hybrid working conditions, these hybrid type of relationships that evolve. But also travel evolves. So as you were saying, Sophie, you, myself, probably many other people here used to travel a lot for work. I clocked 76 flights in 2019, and I spent more time outside of Dubai than in Dubai that year. But most of these trips were 48 hours type of visits, 2 nights, 3 nights in a hotel somewhere. And I've been doing that for probably since 2005. And I've visited some amazing cities. I've been to Sana'a in Yemen, Astana in Kazakhstan. I've been to Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan. I've been to Cairo. I've been to Jordan. I've been in California, in Europe, everywhere. And it's always like, I have to come back one day because I haven't seen anything. I've just seen Rome in the taxi and Rome back to the airport. And my dream was always like, okay, one day I will retire. I will go spend a month in each of these cities, and maybe I'll be writing a book or something. So I will write a chapter of each book. And now it's changed, exactly as you said. Now we can say, oh, you know what? I'm going to spend 3 weeks somewhere. I'm going to spend up to 3 months somewhere else. Our only link, our only limitation as a family is the school calendar of the kids, in fact. But then it's very easy. And I admire that, Barcelona picked up on this concept of workation. I think we talked about it yesterday, that now you can say, okay, we're gonna spend 4 weeks somewhere in a nice holiday setting. We can work a little bit, on the side, but then the rest of the time we're gonna explore a new place. We're gonna enjoy the nature. We're gonna enjoy the lovely weather and so on. So that's and then the ultimate, which I will close with. One of my businesses is a startup called Coconut. We're the LinkedIn of the hospitality industry. And so we have hotels, restaurants, bars, cafes, beach clubs, all hiring every kind of baristas, bartenders, waiters, waitresses, hostesses, everything. And our slogan before the pandemic, and this is what we're bringing back right now, is jobs worth traveling for. So at the end of the day, sometimes you need that nice job, and that will make you travel somewhere.
Yeah. While you were talking, I was thinking as well. Of course you would want to be a month in California or a month in, Azerbaijan. Like, why, of course you want to see those places. And I was thinking about what I had been saying, which was all like a bit doom and gloom, like, don't forget, you've got to get your taxes and your social security and your work permit sorted out. And then I was thinking, but why would anybody bother then? And I still think this concept of the community, of the networking community, is something employers should value and understand. And also, even if it weren't for that, I mean, I normally spend my days talking to immigration lawyers, right? And immigration lawyers are being inundated with queries from employing companies, because really the war for talent is a real thing, especially in Europe. It's really difficult to find the talented level of employees that you want. I mean, just look at the problems we have in the UK with lorry drivers, right? So people need, when they need to hire somebody, they need to hire that person. And more, the conversation is changing from, I'm the boss, you sit in the office where I told you to sit, to, I'm the boss, but I want you to work for me. And how can I be flexible to support the things that you want? And the employees are being braver and saying, well, actually, my family and I don't want to be there. We want to be here. So certainly people need to start getting more creative and, thinking about the different options that are available to them. It's a very exciting time to be in this industry, actually.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And also what you said, Ziad, your wife, happy birthday to your wife, and congratulations to her first thing. And actually, we're running out of time, but I wanted to say the mobility industry in general, one of the reasons I love it so much is because so many companies are started by women who've been in exactly that situation, who've gone somewhere because their husband went somewhere and they've thought, this isn't great. What can I do to change it? And they've started a whole company, which has gone on to be a successful, genuine enterprise, which I think is amazing. And so
absolutely
to them. So look, we've run out of time, which means we had no time for questions. Hopefully we've managed to answer some questions through the chat window. But Santiago, I think you had a couple of things to say, and I'm just going to, once again, silence myself. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Gianfranco and Eva and Ziad. Thank you. You've been absolutely brilliant, and it's been a pleasure getting to know you guys.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, Sophie.
No, as I said before, thank you, Sophie, and thank you, everyone on the panel. As I said to all of you personally, it's great to see such an amazing personalities being part of Barcelona and enhancing the quality and the energy among this evolution of digital nomads in Barcelona, keep it improving and bringing more ideas and even more people from different parts of the world to this site. I'm happy that you're enjoying the city as much as we are from Barcelona Activa, from the rest of us. So yeah, that's from my part. As organizers of the speakers, thank you so much. We hope we will run each other into Saturday, 23rd of October, around the activities that we're going to have all day. And I'll leave the words to Julia for closing. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Santiago, and thank you, everyone, for your contributions. Just remind you that this Saturday there is the Barcelona International Community Day, and you have to register on the website, so don't forget that. And for all of you who are completely digital, you can also follow some of the sessions that will be live streamed on the same day on the website. And in there, there will be one session about taxes that I've seen. It's a very hot topic, you could say. So that's all. Remember to answer the poll if you can, that just popped on your screens. And thank you very much for everything. And see you on Saturday. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.